Remember that? Remember those days?
So after we've established that Craig is 1,000% missing, then we cut back to Craig and Skinny walking around on the streets, and they see this man like getting into his car, and Craig is like, "Oh, you want to ask him for money?" And Skinny's like, "No need to ask. We can just take it from him."
Okay, I have a lot of feelings about this. First of all, he's like, "We only made $3, which like seems highly unlikely. $3.06. And then he's like, "We're gonna steal from that guy who's like coming out of like a car wash, and there are people around, and like he's far away, like he's like across the street, and it's not like he can like casually pickpocket him, and there are other humans around, and it's daylight." What is like? I honestly, I think Skinny's a meth head, because like that's the only thing that's making sense.
He
to
is
me.
kind of channeling Jesse
I don't
Pinkman.
think he wanted to pickpocket them. I think he was going to take it by brute force.
I think he was looking for a
Skinny,
confrontation.
in the life of Skinny, hindsight's always 20/20.
I think that it was a test. Like, I think he was always planning on robbing Craig, just even because of the guitar.
Yeah.
And I think this was kind of like, is he willing? Like, all right, let's see how crazy he is. And he saw that, all right, he's not about anything, so I'm going to just rob him right
Brandon,
here.
You're just in the mind of Skinny.
Well, he says this is like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's like, this is some extravagant meals.
Exactly.
he's having lobster breakfast,
Like,
lunch, and dinner.
Like,
I believe the exact line is looks more like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a lot of other meals after that.
Which is not a great
He's like,
line.
that's my guitar.
That's a bad comeback.
He's like, this is your guitar. I'll tell you what this looks like.
And they find out it's like a Squire. It's not even like a real Fender. And it's
Well,
like,
actually, the guitar was an entire plot point, because when Craig got the
His
dad
inheritance.
like trust fund money, he was like, "You know what I'm gonna do? Because I hate my dad, I'm gonna buy I think it's like $4,000
$4,000 guitar.
It's like a $4,000 guitar."
Skinny's going to eat great.
Skinny's going to change his name to Fat.
Skinny can buy himself a house. Or at least on an apartment.
Yeah, he'll get it.
he doesn't even remember his own name.
Skinny.
Skinny's like the most like meth head name I've ever heard.
Skinny.
Come on, Skinny.
Yeah.
And he just dresses like a gutter punk. I'm here for it. Oh, Skinny, we'll miss you. Can we do a eulogy for Skinny? Because we're never going to see him again, even though he's not a real character.
Skinny, your time was brief, but it left a lasting impression.
You'll live in our hearts as the fake St. Mark's gutter punk
I will
who
never
goes home in the
have
spring.
conversation with a homeless man.
I remember
Because
the
of
first
Skinny.
time I met Skinny. He was hitting those cans, playing them for days.
We hope you buy breakfast, lunch, dinner, and meals for the rest of your life.
Somebody get Skinny a real job.
Can we get Skinny on this podcast?
Yes. I think
Is
that's
she
actually
not-
pretty gettable for
I think
us.
Skinny lives across the street from me. A second.
And something that was interesting, so Craig got beat up by a homeless person.
Yeah.
Arguably, depending on what you actually think Skinny is. And then he immediately goes to a homeless shelter that's full of homeless people.
Maybe they all met Skinny.
It's like, there's no way, like, there's no way that homeless people just beat
An
people up,
inter-Canadian hobo network.
right? Like, a homeless person that mugs, that's a rare thing.
Do you
right?
think that Skinny was not homeless then, and he may have been a guardian angel?
He's just like a
He was
Are
there
you
to
saying
keep
he's
them-
his Clarence?
But
Yes. Yeah.
Is Skinny Craig's Clarence?
Homeless shelter after being beat up by a homeless
He wanted to put Craig back on the straight and narrow, so he had to show him how hard it gets. And then once you hit rock bottom, the only place you can go is up.
Wait, but the main question that I have about this is, if Craig rings a bell, will Skinny get his wings?
No, he'll get more meth.
Which is kind of the
Back
same
again,
thing.
from skills.
He'll still think he can fly, so it's all the same.
We're all overlooking the fact that Skinny probably died shortly after
Oh.
We're gonna get him on this podcast. I feel like he's a very gettable person.
I think
Beautiful
so.
act of karmic revenge.
This is probably like one of 3 IMDb credits, so we can find
He's
him.
probably actually drumming on the streets
He's real young.
of
Do you
a
think Skinny
metropolitan.
was also in Godzilla 1998?
One of the Raptors.
I can't believe Joey was in that movie.
Oh, I wish we had known during the time.
You probably can't even see him because it says Apache Pilot, and I'm like,
Yeah!
he has his face covered up.
I love it! Yay!
Apache.
Oh my god.
So then Craig is in the shelter, and I think at the school, Caitlin is talking to Kevin Smith about how he's missing, and Kevin Smith is like, oh, well, if you need a Z-list celebrity to, like, go on TV and talk about
Like
it.
I said, he keeps lowering his celebrity grade. And
This
this isn't at the school. Kevin
this-
Smith
he
straight up
comes
shows
to
up
their
at
house.
Joey's house. Like, why does he know where Joey lives?
He comes to the house and he's like, I hope this isn't an imposition. I'm like, this is
all about
not a
Caitlin.
good idea.
You could also get on Canadian TV really quickly.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
We all
But,
know he has great pull there.
Something that bothered me was Kevin really kind of made it all about him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he knew way too much about these
Yeah.
people. He had way
It's like-
too much stake in these lives.
This
that he
kid is missing.
Yeah.
And Kevin's like, well, you need a Z-list celebrity. Feel bad about me
Yeah.
and not your kid.
Who is literally missing right now.
Like, shut the fuck up and, like, go help this kid.
but
Yeah.
seriously, did you take?
Sorry,
that,
I don't know if you guys
take that job
swear
now?
on here.
Oh, no, we do a great deal of swearing
Yeah.
on here.
And Lord.
Now it's open season.
Oh, good.
I've definitely said cunty, like, more than twice on this show.
That's 30 for 3-day rental.
Yeah, we
Blockbuster
don't
Night.
tow those waters.
Yeah, we're disgusting. Our listeners are really used to it. They're just like, oh, she's the terrible one. Yes, that is correct.
So Kevin Smith is on TV, like, telling people that Craig is missing, and Craig kind of registers this on the TV at the shelter, but at this point, Craig is in a full-on, like, manic episode.
Like he's like devolved. Is that a word? Devolved? Devolved?
Yeah, he's
right?
devolved.
He's
Oh,
like
word.
he's spiraling. It's rough to watch, but also like fucking Jake Epstein, man. He's a good actor. Holy shit. And everything he does is pretty good. Holland and I have seen him in off-Broadway plays because he does a lot of. He's actually in Beautiful
He's in
on
Beautiful
Broadway right now.
You know.
He's he's a good actor. But he's so anytime like Craig has like anything like actually like meaty to do, like he does a
knocks great
out
job
of the
with it.
goddamn park.
And so his picture is flashing on the TV, and someone at the shelter obviously puts two and two together. And
You mean the one screaming about how he's making a movie for Kevin Smith while there's a photo of a person that looks kind of like that person with
I think
less
it's
blood
worth-
on his face.
It's worth noting, to go back to Kevin Smith making this all by himself, is when he's holding the picture of Craig, he's not really holding it too close to the camera. He's like holding it to his chest, and everybody can see Kevin holding a picture of this boy with bipolar disorder who's missing. Please help Kevin find this kid.
He also like he's not holding it in front of his face. He's like
Yeah.
it's like just look at me in my hockey jersey.
By the way, speaking of seeing things, have you seen Jersey Girl?
Oh boy.
Theaters everywhere, April 7th.
Honestly, if those words came out of his mouth, I would have been like, yeah, that tracks. I get it.
Makes sense.
And then I think before Joey shows up to the shelter, Kevin Smith and Caitlin are talking about something. Kevin is basically giving her like a don't settle for less pep talk. And JT interrupts them at one point.
And then Kevin Smith is like James Tiberius, and I'm like, we haven't heard that in a while.
What was that? What was that? Why did he do that? I know what that is. But why does he just yell at James Tiberius?
Because that's his
That's
name.
his name. It's JT, but his name is James Tiberius.
James
York.
Tiberius York, and I think he was just exclaiming it because he was like interrupting their like almost make out session again for some reason.
And then he's like, don't settle for less, blah, blah, blah. And then Joey picks up Craig and brings him home. And it's just really sad when Joey finally shows up to the shelter.
Oh my god, it like crushed my heart.
That was sad.
Yeah, it was.
Because he's like, where's my guitar? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to cry.
I'm glad we had so much to say on it. And we were all like, yeah, it's sad.
Well, it's sad. I don't want to like.
I felt emotion things.
Yeah, I didn't want to make light of it.
Yeah, it's like you're mentioning that he's a great actor, and he really is a good actor.
The build-up was done very well.
That he can pull that off without being crazy over the top, considering how over the top he had to be.
Well, the way that they deliver it is because you see him going into his manic. Well, not even like he's already in it, so you see the whole manic episode happening, and it's when he's surrounded by people. And then they cut away. They have a couple of other scenes, and they come back to it where Joey's brought to the shelter, and it's like he's talking, and there's no one around him. It's like for him, they never left, but there's still no one. There's no one around him. So that's what makes it so sad, because Joey walks into, essentially like his greatest fear through the 2 episodes was him having, an episode essentially. And then he's seeing it happen, and he's literally just talking to himself, and it's really sad.
Yeah, where a lot of this is just Joey like not wanting to face his fears, but he's being forced to. Yeah, like throughout everything going on in his life, everything's crashing down around him.
And the whole arc is about him having everything together and having everything under control, and literally everything in his life kind of just falls apart at the same time. It
finally hits him, and there's that scene where Joey's like breaking down, and he's crying, and that was the one that hit me most, where it's like he's just going, and then like it comes in, it's like, okay, I'm sorry, Joey. Sorry, man.
I mean, it's just like when everything hits you at once, it's that intense feeling of, like having all these bad things happen at one time, and then dealing with it is one of the most difficult things you can do.
Everybody has a very ugly crying face. Everybody's crying is just like the most...
Ashley's is the best, though. We only get it for like 1 second when she's getting into the car to go to the airport, but it's horrible.
She's...
So Craig finally gets home, and then Joey and Caitlin have like an emotional like come to Jesus moment where they're like, this isn't working anymore, like this is too hard, like what happened to us? I literally wrote down, what have you become?
But also, like, what did happen to them? Because
fucking Kevin Smith happened to them.
Like, they were like, we fight all the time. And I'm like, you just started fighting 2 episodes ago. Like, you were fine. Like, not even. Like, they were fine until, like, part 2, they started fighting, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe wait for Kevin Smith to leave.
Yeah, maybe wait for this to blow over.
Like, his movie's almost done. He's going to come back for the premiere. But other than that, like...
And then, but then Caitlin's like, yeah, I'm thinking about actually taking that job in LA. And I was like, don't fucking leave for LA. This is stupid.
Well, you also have an LA bias.
That's true. But, like, that's not, I'm mainly like, don't leave Joey. He doesn't deserve this.
Canadian degrees. I like how a Canadian graduation ceremony is just a Canadian flag plastered over everything. They got their degrees in Canadiology.
God,
Silent Bob, I mean.
They're all like wearing like red, and all the graduation caps have like maple leaves on them. It's a whole thing.
And Jay and Silent Bob don't have actual graduation caps on. They have like pasted the mortar boards, what are those called, onto their hats that they already wear.
Was that just doubling as Degrassi's graduation ceremony too? They're like, we're filming a movie right now. Let's just get you guys graduated too.
Well, we do get a like very brief Emma appearance. We just see her throw her cap in the air. I'm like, I wonder how much like Miriam McDonald got paid for that 4 seconds.
But no, actually, none of our characters on Degrassi are seniors yet, so no one's graduated yet. Because we've been following them since middle school.
Whoa! Wow.
Yeah. So then, they film the graduation scene. It's a wrap on the movie.
I have feelings about not the actual graduation. So okay, I mean, I'm assuming we've all seen Kevin Smith movies, and like Silent Bob has a thing that he says eventually at some point, and like especially in Clerks, like it was like poignant and like good, and this was like garbled nonsense. I was like, this Silent Bob like talking, like this is like the least Kevin Smith thing about this entire movie, because like I mean, granted, I haven't seen any of his new stuff that actually features Jay and Silent Bob, but I feel like across the board the like occasional Silent Bob thing is usually good.
To be fair, I think that movie was probably just going to be garbled nonsense anyway.
Well,
If it had-
I feel like that was the point of it, was to do the satire on the